Welcome to Study Medicine. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the free resources section of Study Medicine and specifically talk through the 10-step medicine application guide. Study Medicine, of course, provides information about all the university degrees that lead to becoming a doctor in Australia, and in Australia there's 59 degrees, and it provides this information at both a summary level relating to all of the universities with a medicine program and at a university detail level. If you're interested in accessing Study Medicine information, feel free to head into the pricing section to find out about how the subscription process works. So let's head into the 10-step medicine application guide. So here we are in the guide, and I'm just going to scroll down so that you can see it in its entirety. So it's a 2-page document and it's downloadable, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. There's 10 steps in how you apply for medicine in Australia, and let me walk you through how those 10 steps actually work. The first of the 10 steps is identifying the type of medicine degree you want to apply for. Now, it may seem self-evident that there are 2 types of medicine degrees. The first type is the undergraduate medicine degree, which means that you get into that medicine degree straight from high school. The second type is the postgraduate medicine degree, and that means you need a previous university degree first in order to apply for medicine at that university. And the reason why it's so important to understand what type of medicine degree you're applying for is that type of medicine degree will have a certain type of application process. The second thing you need to decide is obviously decide on the medicine degree you want to apply for. And in that, you need to understand the application requirements for that particular university and for that degree. Application requirements, of course, will always include academic grades and minimum grades in order to be accepted into the university. But you also have to understand what subject prerequisites and also whether there's any other prerequisites, such as, for example, if you're wanting to apply for a postgraduate medicine degree, you may have to have a previous degree that is within a certain age limit of when you actually studied. International students will always have to pass certain English language skills, and there may be a number of other testing regimes that you need to have completed before applying to the university, such as UCAT and GAMSAT. The third stage to go through is obviously to decide what type of medicine degree you want as a Plan B option. The type of medicine degree that you are applying for is always going to be highly competitive, and so when you're applying for medicine, you always need to think through what your Plan B options might be. In particular, for example, if you're not successful in getting into an undergraduate medicine degree, you may choose to do another degree rather than medicine, or you may choose to do a degree that then leads to medicine and to have a second application process for a postgraduate medicine degree when you've completed your first degree. Not all degrees, however, lead to medicine. So it's really important, if you're not successful in getting into an undergraduate medicine degree from high school, to make sure that the degree that you then do does actually lead to medicine. That also applies if you're thinking of doing a lateral transfer, because that may not be as simple and as straightforward as it might initially seem. So make sure you go through and understand how all of the degrees work and whether they do actually lead to medicine. The fourth step is to identify the organisation you need to apply either through or to. As I said before, the type of medicine degree determines how you apply, and the type of and the specific university that you're applying to also will determine the application process. So, for example, if you're applying for an undergraduate medicine program, you may apply through a state agency such as TISC, SATAC, UAC, VTAC, for example. You may have to apply directly to the university, or you may have to apply through to both. Equally, for a postgraduate medicine degree, you may apply directly to the university, or you may apply through the GEMSAS consortium, or you may have to apply to both. Equally, you might have to apply to one agency and provide documentation also to a separate organisation such as the university. So make sure you really do understand how the application process works and which organisations you're actually applying through and to. Identify the specific application requirements that apply to you. So you'll be classified as a domestic student or an international student. You may be rural or Indigenous. You may have special concession schemes that you're applying through. And each one of those schemes or paths, as they apply to you, will have certain application requirements. So understand the application requirements for the university, for the degree, and as it applies to you as an applicant. Understand that the assessments the universities go through to select students for a medicine degree include a number of assessments. It will always include an academic assessment, and so there's specific requirements about your ATAR, but also if you're applying for a postgraduate medicine degree, your GPA and how the GPA is actually calculated. Many universities also have a psychological assessment, whether that be UCAT or GAMSAT or whatever. There are often prerequisite subjects, or there may be subjects that are highly recommended. Most universities go through a two-stage application process. So the first stage is often going through an interview process, and then the second stage is the offer. So understand what that process actually entails. And universities may have additional requirements such as written documents. You might have to submit certain forms. Certain groups may have to provide references. So understand the full gamut of what's actually involved in providing information as part of the application process. The seventh step talks about understanding the deadlines, and it's important to understand that there are not only application deadlines, but the submission of associated documentation may also have its own deadlines. So make sure you understand the specifics of all of that and understand exactly when and where you have to put that application. Ensure you put your application documentation together well ahead of time. Some of the universities, such as University of Sydney, recommend people who are applying for their degree apply with plenty of time. I've even seen requirements extended all the way through to 12 months. So understand that associated documentation, academic transcripts and portfolios and all of those sorts of documentation, if they're required, can take a significant amount of time. And as part of that, make sure that you're applying well ahead of closing time. Finally, understand the selection process time frame. University selection process the process goes through a number of stages, as I went through before. Make sure that you understand exactly the time frame when the information is required to be provided, but also likelihoods of when further assessments such as interviews are due to take place, and make sure that you're available to attend as requested. And finally, make sure you verify your contact arrangements and order your preferences when you actually put your application information in place. Ensure that you're checking your email information frequently, because the timeframes of acceptances for interviews and for offers, also for things such as accommodation offers, if you're looking for accommodation, are a very, very short time frame indeed. So that takes you through the 10-step application guide. There's also some handy checkboxes. This information can be downloaded, so if you download it, you can go to this section and download the information, and then you can use the handy checkboxes to make sure that you've gone through all of those key requirements. I'll scroll through here and you can see there's further information in study medicine that goes through more specifics about the application process. And it also goes through where to from here, gives you guidance as to what other parts of study medicine you can go to. There's an FAQ section in study medicine that also links through to the AMA, and the AMA equally link through to study medicine. There's also a deadline section that provides more information about the specific application deadlines. As always, everything in study medicine has an important caveat, which is to say that information from the Australian universities specifically are the only authoritative source, and that information does change. So make sure you check directly with the university to ensure that you are up to speed with the specific requirements of their application deadlines and their application systems. So that takes you through the 10-step application guide for study medicine. As always, I wish you a successful journey on your path to becoming a doctor.